Hi sweeties, how are you all doing? Welcome to Nanya Sing. If this is your first time of coming across this channel, sweetheart, kindly smash the subscribe button, turn on the notifications so you get notified each time I upload, and please give this video a thumb up. I appreciate you all, and I want to say a very big thank you to every one of you for always coming back to watch my videos. You all are the very best. I appreciate all your comments. I am learning a whole lot from them. You all are the very best. So today we'll be checking out the Tulsa massacre, right? Which happened in 1921. Before we get into it, let me wear my reading glasses because I'll be reading from somewhere. All right, so here we go. So in 1921, Tulsa's Greenwood district, known as the nation's Black Wall Street, was one of the most prosperous African-American communities in the United States. But on the May 31st of that year, a white mob, inflamed by rumor, right, that a young black man had attempted to rape a white teenage girl, right, invaded Greenwood. By the end of the following day, thousands of homes and businesses lay in ashes, and perhaps as many as 300 people were dead. All right, so now let's get into this video. Before we get into this video, I am going to show you Tulsa in 1921 before the massacre, and then we'll talk about it, because they saw something different. They saw a growing community. They saw a very prosperous community, and they could not take it. And then it was them looking for a way to lay an allegation that something happened just to get to black people. Let's get into this video. Stay glued to your screen. You definitely will learn a whole lot from this.
Some African-American communities are prospering, like the residents of Greenwood, a suburb of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Here, former slaves were given land after the Civil War, and this rare footage shows the thriving town they built. A remarkable Baptist pastor named Solomon Sir Jones is the pioneering filmmaker. His footage was lost for more than 50 years. Jones captures the bustling life of Greenwood, which could be any American small town.
Today marks the 100th anniversary of the Tulsa race riots, started by a false accusation against a young black man. A mob tried to lynch him, and when a separate black mob showed up to protect him from being wrongfully lynched, the white people turned on the black mob and proceeded to go to the black part of town and shoot and bomb, and over a 3-day period raze it to the ground, killing hundreds of black citizens, destroying thousands of homes and thousands of businesses, completely destroying what was at the time the Black Wall Street of this nation. And it's something that we don't talk about enough.
Let's talk about this, right? Now, from what I can see, right, this is a very promising community. Like they actually said, it's prosperous. It's all like, I can see all of that here, right? And I see people doing great for themselves. I see a very busy community. I see a working community. I see like a whole lot, like it's actually a great community. People going about their businesses, trying to, like, you know, better themselves and growing, because you all know black people right from time they have always been very hard working. There is something I know about black people. I know black people as very industrious people, very hard working. This is what I see from this community. And the truth is that they have seen this community is growing. This community is prospering. This community is doing amazingly well for themselves. This community is doing great for themselves. They are thriving. And that was the problem. Because if they said that a black man tried to, this is like, it is a rumor. It was not confirmed, right? Okay, why not? Okay, let's assume that the rumor, okay, they said one person, right, as they rumored. Why not look for that one person that they rumored? Why did they not look for that one person that said that they rumored that did something? How come what person, what they wrote, it was a rumor, it was not confirmed, right? How come what they rumored, why did they not get that, single that person out? Why did everybody in that community get to suffer for just one person's maybe sin or something? It was not confirmed, right? But it is me just trying to talk to us, right? So you see, this massacre, from my point of view, was planned, right? And imagine how many people, I mean, they burned everything to ashes. Nothing remained. Nothing. 100 people were dead, right? And somebody wants to tell me that it was not a planned massacre. This is what I call racial violence, because there is nothing anyone can tell me that will, like, you know, there is nothing anybody will tell me that will convince me that this massacre was not mastermind. It was planned. And the boy they used as the rumored person was just like, you know, something to like, they have to, you know, when something wants to happen, they have to attach it to something to say this was what happened before something happened. So they used that boy as an excuse, which did not happen, right? The boy did not do anything because it was rumored. So it was all set up. Whether they said the boy touched the teenage girl or something, it was all planned. Because how do you wake up to burn a community? A community of how many persons? Because they said one person did something. Now, let me tell us something. You know, some people actually do not like themselves enough. Yeah. Some people do not like themselves enough. So for that reason, why would they like you when they do not like themselves? Why do you think they are going to like you when they do not like themselves enough? So this is just how I am going to sum this up. But then let's get into stitches and see what people got to say about this. Let's go.
Let's talk about how one of the most prosperous black communities of all time was destroyed overnight because of a lie. I'm Andre, and this is Blackity Black History, Part 5. In the fall of 1907, Oklahoma declared statehood, and one of the first orders of business was racial segregation. And in the mid-1910s, there were ordinances passed that said that black and white people couldn't live on the same blocks. So, black people went and got their own block. Tulsa's historic Greenwood district, to be exact. Founded by black investors, it housed thousands of black people with hundreds of black-owned businesses and spread over 30 blocks. They had everything: their own grocery stores, their own mechanic shops, their own movie theaters, their own salons and barbershops, literally everything, even their own newspaper. There was so much wealth being redistributed and cycled through the black community here that it was nicknamed Black Wall Street. And white people didn't like that. May 30th, 1921, a 19-year-old black man was shining shoes at a shop on Main Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. His name was Robert Ryland. When he had to use the restroom, he couldn't use the restroom there, so his boss sent him to a coloreds-only restroom around the corner on a top floor of a building. On this elevator was a 17-year-old white girl named Sarah Page, and she was the elevator's operator. Minutes later, a local clerk said that he heard a girl screaming. He ran and found Sarah, distraught, and saw Robert running from the building. Immediately, Robert was apprehended by law enforcement. When word spread, 1,500 white men formed a mob and marched up to the jailhouse and demanded that the sheriff hand Robert over. And I don't even have to tell you what they intended on doing with him. The sheriff refused. This went on for a while. The next day, on May 31st, 1921, dozens of black veterans in their army uniforms marched up to the courthouse to defend Robert, and I think that is so amazing. This made the white mob, which was now thousands of men deep, even madder. One thing led to another, and that white mob descended on the Greenwood district. They burned and looted every house they could find and killed every black person that they could. When it was all said and done, historians estimate that hundreds of black people were killed and 10,000 black people were displaced or homeless. All of this lasted from May 30th to June 1st, 1921. Robert did make it out. He was released the next day and fled Tulsa to never be seen again. Over the course of the next century, the happenings here in Tulsa, Oklahoma were largely swept under the rug. It wasn't until 1920 when Oklahoma made it mandatory that the Tulsa Race Massacre happenings be taught in all schools. The descendants of those killed and displaced were never compensated. And it really makes you wonder, how much generational wealth was lost because of a lie?
United States, the Racist Terror of Tulsa, 1921. The more history you read, the more one thing becomes clear, that certain parts of history are hidden from us. We are sent down blind alleys, lied to about certain things, or things just merely get deemed as not important enough to be taught. And what's funny is that these things are always parts of history that the ruling class want us to forget. Tulsa 1921 is a perfect example of this. Pogroms occurred against the black residents of Tulsa, and despite their best efforts to fight back, many were killed. In the wake of the BLM movement, we see that not all that much has changed in 100 years. So it's our duty as revolutionaries and as Marxists to learn about this history. Our understanding of these things directly impacts our ability to be able to fight back against what is happening now. So read the article on our website, or find the podcast on Socialist Revolution on Spotify.
I read a New York Times piece on a 100-year-old survivor of the Tulsa Massacre. And my question was this: what's the Tulsa Massacre? How is it that it wasn't until 2 years ago that I heard about the Tulsa Massacre? How is that possible? I've heard about Custer's Little Bighorn. I heard about the Alamo. I heard about the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire. I heard about all kinds of disasters in which people died. But I had never heard about this thing that happened in 1921, only 3 years before my dad was born. In the same year that Donna Reed was born, we didn't hear about this thing that happened in which essentially one of the most successful black communities in America, Black Wall Street, in which everybody was not only burned out of their homes and their businesses, but then driven out of the city limits by an angry mob of, I'm sorry, white people. How is it that this was not taught to me? And that's not right, and it made me mad.
Oh, man.
All right. There are some things I want us to know, about this massacre. I hope you know that, black people were living, very peaceful among themselves. And they did not start this massacre. They did not start any problem or something. It was them that started the massacre, all right? And I want you to know that that community was a very rich community. Yes, you can make the research for yourself. Tulsa was a very, very great community, wealthy community. And they also had their own, they had their teachers, they had doctors, they had entertainers, they had dentists, they had like almost everything. They had their own doctors, they had their own entertainers. And there were over like 300 plus or more than, because one thing I noticed about news is that when there is a massacre, they don't tell you how many people that died. And that is something the media has always been. So if they said 300, I want you to know that it was more than 300. Right? So with all these, great community. They were doing great for themselves. They had their businesses. There were so many things, and they were happy community, wealthy community, because they owned so many things. Like they had so many things, right? And they saw all these, so many business owners too, right? And they were very successful. That is one thing I want you to know. They were very successful. So it was a very successful community, right? And they saw all that and they were like, how can they be better than us? Right? They saw so many things they feel like they do not have, but because the truth is that they do not have that. Yes. And that is why they will keep being scared of us till the last day. Yeah. They are very scared of you. And there was a lot of anger. There was a lot of jealousy from them. All right? And they were like, what are we supposed to do? What are we going to do? As you all can see that, like, you know, they are doing better than us. I think the next thing is to like probably fabricate one lie or the other and then strike them. That was how they struck. And you can imagine how the beautiful community, everything went down. Right? And I read all these and I am like, how can one race, like a particular race, suffer all these losses? Until this very moment, they do not want to rest. They are still pursuing the owner, because Black community are the owner of the United States. Yeah, yeah. So this very moment, they are still pursuing them. I want you to know that they saw something great, and the best they can do is to look for a way to, like, you know, wipe it off. That is one of the reasons why I keep saying you must learn all this. As you can see, they are banning this in schools and all that. CRT, they do not want people to know. They don't want you. They just want to wipe like all the traces. But it is hard to wipe all the stresses because there are so many Black learning people. Black people are doing great right now. They are learned. They are like in entertainment, in everywhere. There is no sector you are going to look for and you will not find Black people. So what they are planning to wipe away, culture, history, traces, will never work. If you will learn and pass that to your children. Yes. Do not let your heritage die. Do not let anything happen to your history. Do not let anything happen to your culture. This is where I am going to end today's reaction, and I appreciate you all. See you all in my next video. Bye for now.